Hey, Boxcar Children, how you doing? This is a new episode of Steven Universe Reviews. We are talking about On the Run. Now, On the Run is one of those episodes that comes along and makes you think it's going to be a goofy, fun episode and gives you kind of a sucker punch, frankly. And this one actually is a sucker punch of two styles, actually. Emotional and also plot stuff, and not to mention character stuff. I'm trying not to get too technical. Essentially, the episode begins with Steven obsessing over his new book series, The Boxcar Boys, which is sort of this combination of the Boxcar Children and the Hardy Boys, and actually kind of a neat idea, where they're hobo kids who solve mysteries or something like that. And totally sounds like a book series that would exist, by the way. I'm shocked that it didn't happen. Essentially, when the gems get back, they're carrying the probes from the Warp Tour episode, which picks up that thread, which I'd been wondering, like, what were they going to do with those droids? I hope they were going to take them, and surely enough, they've taken them, and I believe Pearl's probably going to study them and see whatever she can figure out about them. That's kind of cool in and of itself. And right off the bat, we're given like an important piece of the puzzle where Steven asks a direct question. By the way, for those of you who think that they're purposely lying to Steven, when Steven asks direct questions, they answer them, especially Pearl. They kind of break it to him gently, but they do answer them. And that's exactly what happens in this episode, where Pearl explains that the gem home world, did something bad, and it's their job to try and prevent it getting further down the road. It's where interesting, I didn't pick up on this until the second viewing of the episode. Pearl mentions that they were trying to do something bad to the Earth, but she said that Rose, Garnet, and herself stepped in to stop it. She didn't mention Amethyst. I totally missed that first time around. To be honest, you kind of just assume that she was part of it. This episode goes from there to Amethyst and Steven kind of deciding to, hey, let's recreate the magic of the Boxcar Boy thing, where we go out on the run, and they do like 1930s Depression era bindles around sticks, and put like one day's lunch in them, which I think is hilarious, by the way. The song that goes on is delightful and awesome. It's actually one of my now favorite songs. Let's see. They get onto the boxcar, and I think within 30 seconds, Steven is bored and wants to go home because, yeah, being homeless and traveling on the rail, stowawaying boxcars isn't as cool as you might think it is, which is hilarious. Also, he discovers that hay is not as comfortable as it looks like in cartoons, which is also true. Thank you, Steven Universe, for finally coming out and saying that. I've seen hay as the most comfortable thing in the world in every cartoon ever, so that's kind of funny. That's when Amethyst reveals that she's not that crazy about going home just yet, and she starts talking about home, and Steven goes, oh yeah, you're from Homeworld, and she goes, no, I'm not from there either, which is a pretty big left turn here. Then she decides to take him to the kindergarten, which Peridot mentions in Warp Tour, by the way. And yeah, we didn't mishear her when she said kindergarten. She said kindergarten, and this was where apparently these giant frightening drills were drilling into the Earth, and I'm pretty much assuming that this is how they create gems to repopulate their culture. Now, why they're doing it on other planets, I'm not too sure of the plan. I have some ideas. The episode doesn't really come out and say it, but I'm assuming they go to other planets and drill them into submission until they have all the gems they can, and they go to another planet, another planet, another planet. And I'm assuming that's why Rose stopped them. Either Earth was the first planet they've done this that had life on it, or maybe they've done this before when life was on the planet and they didn't care. So we'll see about that. And maybe this was the first time Rose and the other crystal gems discovered this, actually. This was something that they weren't totally cool with. I can't wait to get to that, actually. So anyway, Amethyst shows him around and shows him her hole she came out of. And much to Stephen's shock, kind of, quiet disturbance, he notices there are possibly hundreds, maybe thousands of holes like her that are now empty. When they start talking a little bit more, Pearl comes in, and Garnet had sent her because she had a feeling that they had gone to the kindergarten, and sure enough they did. That's when this fight breaks out between Amethyst and Pearl, which is pretty intense and well choreographed and heartfelt. Of course, it ends with them making peace, and a new bond apparently happens between Amethyst and Pearl. Let me get to the episode, actually. I've talked a little bit too much about the plot in detail, I think. This episode, like I said, gives us a lot of big pieces, plot-wise and character-wise, especially for Amethyst in this episode. Not to mention a little bit of Pearl. And this episode strikes me in a big way because there is definitely, outside of the obvious plot stuff, there's a strong unwanted pregnancy metaphor in this episode. Now here's the thing. You can look at the crystal gems and the family of gems, and some people interpret this differently, but I'm one of the people who kind of view the mom squad this way, where even though there are 3 women raising him, they've all each kind of taken what is usually considered a traditional role. Garnet, sort of the father figure, Pearl, the mother figure, and Amethyst, the older sibling, the older sister figure. And this episode actually does kind of like, I think, show evidence that that's a strong metaphor for that, because this episode definitely goes back and forth to explain why Pearl and Amethyst have so much tension between them. And they actually, in this episode, the dialogue between them remind me of a mother and her rebellious teenage daughter, that they're having problems. And they actually kind of crack what exactly is the issue between them, which is, it's kind of devastating, because she's like, Amethyst has felt this guilt over what has happened, because she felt like she was personally part of it, and created to destroy this planet, possibly. And Pearl has never seen it that way, and she's always seen her as kind of, at least as far as the series has been concerned, overly rebellious and insubordinate, and just frustrated, not realizing that that was a lot to do with her behavior, that she was covering up. And I've always suspected that since Tiger Millionaire, that she was hiding a lot of pain through her attitude and her humor, and that definitely comes out in this episode. Yeah, that scene between the voice acting in that whole battle and the makeup scene at the end, I think, is really strong, particularly by Michaela Dietz, who plays Amethyst. This is easily her strongest episode. There's a lot of vulnerability, and that moment where the drill falls and she's upset and heartbroken, and she, think about it, she literally crawls back into her womb, her safe place, and it's just heartbreaking when you hear it in her voice, and when you take a second to think about it that way. And this is one of the things I like so much about Stephen as a character. He knows right away that it's Pearl who needs to talk to her about this, because he's got nothing, but he knows who is the person that needs to really discuss it with her. And also, hey, we get a lot of ongoing plot threads here. This episode is magnificent the way it's put together, actually. it's got some humor at the beginning, and it takes that quick left turn. Actually, I mean, I think 4 minutes in, we go into the more serious plot line of the episode, where we think it's going to be mostly a humorous episode. And then the animation, by the way, also looks really strong. This is a really, really great episode. I highly recommend this episode if you haven't seen it yet. Well, I hope you've seen it, because I've talked about it in detail right now. But I love this episode. This is a great one. I think this is another one that goes right up on the top of the list as some of the best episodes of this series so far. I think that's it for now. I have missed talking about Future Vision. I forgot to do that one last week, so I will record a review hopefully soon, sometime this week, and I'll post that as well. But until then, push the button, Lindsay.